Bonjour everyone, I'm happy to be back with you for sharing my insight for the Virgo full moon, a very powerful one because it is also a total lunar eclipse happening the 3rd of March 2026 at 9:37 p.m. Brisbane time, Australia, and she's sitting at 12 degrees 53 minutes of Virgo. But before I start to share, I want to thank you, all of you, for your comments and for sharing my videos. It encourages me to continue producing them, and through your comments, I am learning a lot. Yes, I'm learning a lot about how you navigate these energies, and it is helping me on my personal journey as well, because like everyone else, I am learning to surf the waves of the ocean of my life. And if you would like to contact me for an astrology session, send me an email at info@francoisemonroe360art.eu or contact me directly on Messenger. It is my preferred connection. So this full moon in Virgo is not ordinary. It is a total lunar eclipse, a red moon, also called a blood moon. The moon turns red and the whole world will receive her message for a long 58 minutes time, where the Earth's shadows will completely engulf the moon. And we are lucky in Australia as well as in Canada and most of Asia, because we will see this beautiful spectacle live. Hopefully it will be a cloudless night. So this blood moon eclipse sits on the axis Virgo-Pisces and tells a story that is often related to shedding and release. She shines a spotlight on health routine, on your daily life, on what you do, your work, and most importantly, on how you can be of service, especially in a healing way. A blood moon tends to strip away what is unnecessary. She forces you to peel back layers to see more clearly. Transformation tend to run very high under a blood moon, and for some of you, you experience that as significant life-changing events around the months before and the months following the eclipse date. So this eclipse brings a moment of revelation, often uncomfortable, where things become impossible to ignore. It is as if the eclipse abruptly pulls back the curtain and puts what you need to see right in front of you. So what was diffuse, what was blurry, what was repressed rises to the surface unfiltered and is placed before your eyes. Symbolically, it is as if the earth is sending a message that says, keep only the essential, remove all the superfluous. And that is exactly what this eclipse will do in your life. So this eclipse comes after a powerful sequence that began on February 14, when Saturn entered Aries, followed by a solar eclipse on February 17th, very strong, which brought intensity, and the sequence reached its peak with a Saturn-Neptune conjunction on the 20th of February. And now, with this total lunar eclipse of the 3rd of March, it is the end of this sequence. And what must fall will fall. Nothing will be the same again. So this lunar eclipse in Virgo is a moment of confrontation. And Virgo is not just a sign of organization, list and analysis. It is above all the sign of discernment, That is the ability to separate what is useful from what is not, what nourishes you from what burdens you. You must decide what you keep and what you let go of. So ask yourself this question. What am I still carrying around, even though it no longer serves me? What relationship are you continuing to nurture out of habit and not by choice? So this eclipsed moon in Virgo is like a forced sorting. And if you are lying to yourself in some areas, like about your work, your relationships, this eclipse in Virgo will make the lies unbearable. And then the little voice that says, "This is not for me anymore," will become a scream. Some relationships that seemed stable will now show cracks. And it is same for your body, because Virgo governs health, especially the digestive system, intestines, and the nervous system. And if you have ignored a signal for weeks, even for months, this eclipse turned up the volume. So listen to your body before it seriously cries out. We are all affected by this eclipse, but the signs most impacted are Virgo, Gemini, Pisces, and Sagittarius, whether it is your sun in these signs, or your moon, or your rising sign. But frankly, really, no one is spared. So I invite you to look at your birth chart, in which houses fall these signs, especially the sign of Virgo and Pisces. These are the areas of your life impacted by this strong eclipse. The Virgo-Pisces axis is already activated by the presence of the lunar nodes. With the South node in Virgo, we have a need for control, analysis, and repair. And with the North node in Pisces, we are asked to surrender to something vaster, something uncontrollable. And that is a bit disconcerting. We are not on easy ground here. So we can clearly see that this Virgo-Pisces axis is extremely saturated during this eclipse, because it's amplified by the large stellium, a big amount of planet in Pisces, an enormous planetary cluster that accurately depicts the social unease of this moment. People are extremely anxious, with great fears about everything that is happening. So here we are experiencing an eclipse of emotional saturation and collective reorientation, because the world is immersed in the Pisces universe. And that means confusion, fatigue, hypersensitivity, and there are a lot of violent, shocking things happening these days. When we look at the stellium in Pisces, there we find the Sun in conjunction with Mars, Venus, retrograde Mercury, and the North Node. And the stellium is extended by the Saturn-Neptune conjunction at the very beginning of Aries. So all of this creates an extremely dense symbolic field. Here, the sign of Pisces is experienced as forced immersion in the emotional field. Therefore, hypersensitivity, permeability to atmospheres, confusion between self and other, and dissolution of usual reference points. So this will contribute more to states of disorientation and mental fatigue. But on the positive side, this stellium in Pisces and a bit in Aries brings major intuitive breakthroughs, increased creativity, and a rare ability to sense what has not yet been formulated. So that is good. And in opposition, we have the moon in Virgo conjunct the South Node. And this describes an emotional memory that has reached its critical point. The conjunction Moon-South Node in Virgo correspond to old emotional habits, survival reflexes pattern, mental and emotional protection, and it also shows existential weariness, a fatigue of the soul. The moon conjunct the South Node is not comfortable here. She comes to exhume what you know all too well. She reveals what you cling to automatically, even if it no longer nourishes you. This can then translate into a rise in anxiety, criticism, and fear of making mistakes. There can also be a compulsive need to rationalize the uncontrollable against all odds. Or, conversely, a feeling of being overwhelmed by realities far too complex to be repaired or reorganized. And this eclipse in Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is in Pisces, his sign of exile and fall. Is conjunct the Sun and is also retrograde, so none of this is insignificant. With retrograde Mercury in Pisces, expect vague, contradictory, sometimes misleading statements and difficulty in formulating clear and structured plans. Expect also a rise in distrust. But the stellium in Pisces also signified the increased importance of solidarity and supporting the most vulnerable. Here you are a good Samaritan. The fact that retrograde Mercury is the ruler of this eclipse shows us that the mind is not there to explain. The mind is there to review, re-hear, and reinterpret all these old stories, personal or collective. So thoughts will go around in circles. But this shouldn't necessarily be seen as a failure. It should be seen more as a process of psychic digestion. This retrograde Mercury in Pisces here suggests that the truth won't come through rational language, but much more through symbols, dreams, bodily sensations, and also synchronicities. Let's not forget that Mercury in Pisces is both in exile and in fall. So here we are swimming in something that is struggling to find a way out. So that means it is vital, it's a vital time for introspection, for healing. It will be important for you to look at your daily habits, your daily exercises, what you do day by day. It is a good time to walk on the beach, get out into the sun, to take time for your heart and to listen to it. To put your feet on the ground, to practice groundology with this Virgo Earth sign and get that energy from Mother Earth to help you stay balanced. And since the North Node is also involved in this stellium, not in conjunction with Mercury, but in conjunction with the Sun, we will have to learn to let go of control. The presence of this North Node indicates that despite the discomfort, the evolutionary direction is clear. So you will have to trust your intuition. This is very important. You will have to give up the illusion of controlling everything. And also accept a degree of conscious vulnerability. We are all have a degree of vulnerability. There is nothing shameful about that. We are going through a period where the old models of organization, rationalization, and performance will show their limitations. And this will call for more compassion, more meaning, more connection. We won't have a choice. And during this eclipse, Jupiter, planet Jupiter, is beneficial to us because he is in a supportive aspect, a trine conversation with a stellium in Pisces. Jupiter is retrograde in Cancer and brings us a kind of protection and a sense of memory. And this trine acts as an emotional container. And it offers you the ability to make sense of what you are going to experience. It will also give you a return to your deep inner resources. It will also offer you a strong connection with your childhood, your roots, and your personal memories. Even retrograde Jupiter still supports a form of emotional wisdom, a protective, almost maternal intuition, because Cancer is ruled by the moon. And all of this will allow you not to get completely lost in the Pisces ocean. So in the end, this trine conversation from Jupiter acts as a protective counterweight. We see that during this eclipse, planet Uranus in Taurus is in a tense square aspect to Mars at 0 degree of Pisces. And this does have the potential to shake things up, really. So you may experience this as nervous tension, poorly channeled anger, accidents, violence, unwise impulses, radical breaks for freedom, and also a sense of urgency without clear direction. This square may bring a massive crisis that demands an immediate redirection, and you won't have control over most of what happens. You could feel like you are at the mercy of something much, much larger than you. But you can control your reactions, and it is a bit of a balancing act. There is no doubt that it is a time for progress in some area, so total resistance or a clingy behavior, refusal to be independent, refusal to detach from outdated situations will ensure that this influence will irritate you to the core. But at the same time, you can be aware of putting yourself in dangerous situations will amplify things needlessly. So measure your steps and know that you don't have to take things to the extreme. Pay attention to the call for forward movement, but do so with awareness. During this eclipse, you are invited to step forward, and there is a strong current pulling towards forgiveness, release, spiritual and artistic exploration, and ultimately expansion. The North Node activation suggests that no matter what this square brings, it will orient you in the right direction. So be careful. This square acts like a rude awakening, and it prevents you from falling into the passive Pisces state, and at the same time, it forces you to act but without a very clear instruction manual. This can be very, very confusing. In fact, this Mars-Uranus square will act as a detonator, revealing tensions that were already present. Now, in my previous video, I already talked about the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. But here, again, it is very important to look at them because it contributes to the stellium in Pisces. Therefore, it is very closely linked to this eclipse in Virgo. With Saturn-Neptune at the very beginning of Aries, we have the opportunity to start on a clean slate and slowly but surely, new heart-centered, strong, kind, courageous, empathetic, fearless, heroic, and most importantly, humble leaders will emerge from the dust as it settles. Those leaders exist, and you are one of them. You are the leader of your life. You can now go and fulfill your divine destiny and manifest your dreams. Saturn-Neptune conjunction happened on the 20th of February and truly inaugurates the end of one cycle and at the same time the birth of another, a new 36 years synodal cycle. So they are like two sentinels at a historical portal guarding the beginning of this new cycle. And their conjunction acts as a backdrop that symbolizes the end of certain illusions and also the confrontation between dream and reality. But it also offers the possibility of giving form to the invisible. For each of us, this conjunction is an invitation to embody our ideals, to accept the responsibility of our sensitivity. Because yes, we are sensitive, we are vulnerable, and again, there is no shame in that. It is rather an act of great courage when you show your vulnerability. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction is also an invitation to transform the confusion that may sometimes reign in your mind or in your projects into conscious commitment. Historically, this conjunction corresponds to periods of collective disillusionment, the fall of narratives that have been fulfilled, and the need to confront dreams with concrete reality. So this Saturn-Neptune conjunction is a true period of collective mourning, but also of slow reconstruction. So this eclipse on the Virgo-Pisces axis is a blood moon of great cleansing. She invites you to retreat, to be secular like a monk in a temple of purification, to free yourself from conditioning that has been imposed upon you and that doesn't resonate with your personal frequency. And because I fell in love with the Huna philosophy and its 7 principles that are truly of great guidance for navigating my personal journey, regarding the frequency of this powerful blood moon on the Virgo-Pisces axis, there is a strong resonance with purification and rituals. So it is a very important moment for us to cut all the cords that are attached to our body, mind and soul. So this blood moon is a call for a Ho'oponopono ritual. This is a ritual of forgiveness to clean your mind of negative emotions, guilt, resentment. Ho'oponopono says, I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. So use your imagination to make the feeling of health real in your mind. And above all, release the past and focus on the manava power of the present moment. This blood moon in Virgo resonates also strongly with the third principle of Huna philosophy, Makia. Makia, energy flows where attention goes. Be focused. And the stellium in Pisces resonates strongly with the second principle of Huna, Kala. Kala, there are no limits. Be free. So, during this eclipse, the Virgo-Pisces axis supports the combined energy of Makia and Kala. On the side of the Virgo moon, the Makia energy emphasizes that you have the power to direct your focus to heal, purify, and create your reality by choosing where you put your mental, emotional, and physical attention. Because energy follows attention, focusing on health and positive outcomes rather than sickness or pain is key to the healing process. So you are invited to visualize wellness, to see yourself filled with light, energy, and functioning perfectly. You can even use self-massage, bringing intense, loving awareness to areas of pain or tension, imagining energy releasing blockages. And you can express positive affirmations, such as, my body is healing, I am strong. And on the side of the stellium in Pisces, the Kala energy is used to release physical, emotional, and mental blockages by recognizing that any boundaries you perceive are self-imposed. It can be dissolved. Basically, Kala means to release. And in Huna philosophy, unforgiveness is seen as a tie or an aka cord that drains your energy. Here comes again the ritual of Ho'oponopono that helps you to release resentments toward others or yourself and to cut off the past, the aka cords. Kala teaches you that the universe is infinite and you are part of that infinity. Therefore, your potential for health is limitless. So this blood moon in Virgo invites you to reflect on areas where you feel restricted, to analyze your life and analyze yourself, your physical, your mental and spiritual health. So this is an eclipse of transmutation. She represents a period where the old world, which is yours, arrives at exhaustion. And you find yourself facing a new way of feeling, believing, and acting. This eclipse represents something that seeks to emerge. So don't close the door to this newness. And don't forget that this eclipse acts over a period of 6 months, and sometimes much more longer. So let's see what will happen in the coming year. Thank you for listening. I wish you a very beautiful full moon eclipse, a beautiful blood moon, and I will see you very soon. May we all walk the trail of our heart with love and light.